Hello, I am Dwayne Dickens, and I will be talking today with Michael Singleton, and we are from the African American Male Student Success Team, and we're going to have an informal conversation regarding the work that we do with mentoring students. And so, welcome, Michael.
Thank you very much, Dwayne.
And so I have an initial question to just get us started with some of the experiences you've had with the African American Male Student Success Team.
Okay.
And could you just share, tell me about one of your best memories of working with the African American Male Student Success Team this last year?
Just right off bat, one of my best memories is we had a young man who came in, freshman, who initially was kind of shy and laid back and didn't really blend in with the other students there I saw there at Northeast Campus, kind of stayed to his own self. Once we were able to get him a part of the African American Male Success Team, Student Success Team, then you can see him starting to interact more with the students there on campus because he was associated with them through our team, and also with with me and other mentors that are there on campus. So we could see him, as the semester progressed, come out of that shell that he was in. Part of that also was he needed to grow up a little bit, and I think that by him being part of the team and associating with other students and all that, I think it kind of woke him up to, he's not in high school anymore, I am in college, and these are how college students behave, and this is what the professors expect of me here at college. So I think he kind of grew up that semester also, and so the young man got him a job, and then is continuing on with us here at Tulsa Community College, but I could just see him mature as the semester and as the year went on. So that was one of the biggest things that I saw over the last year.
Okay, well, good. Well, how would you relate that experience that you had with this one individual to other African American male experiences at TCC?
Well, I think initially you look at, I think it's kind of overwhelming a little bit, I think, of when we have our students come in from high school to college, of that adjusting to college, they are kind of nervous or apprehensive about what is college about, what is all of this about, going to classes and how important it is to connect with other students and instructors there at the school. So learning that from that student that we had the year before, we can see the importance of getting the students attached to something, to some other organizations at the school, some way where they can learn from the students that have been there before, and also get them connected with staff or faculty that can kind of share with them the importance of going to class and what the difference is between college and high school, and just making that adjusting to college period at transition a little easier for our students. So from that encounter with that student, I can see how important that is to make sure that with my mentees and with our other students, that we are there to help them through that transition from high school to college. And I think once they can get over that hurdle, they're more on their way to being successful there at school, Tulsa Community College.
Okay, thank you. Another question that we talked about the best experiences, what would you consider to be one of your most challenging experiences or memories over this last year in working with African American male students?
That's easy. It's always about finances, and so the challenge is, my biggest challenge that I ran into this year is relating how important it is, their grades to their financial aid. A lot of students come in and can't bring that bridge or make that comparison that I must go to class, I must make good grades, or at the end of the semester, my financial aid is going to be affected. And it took the incidents that I ran into, it took students to fall to probation or suspension for that light to come on to say, okay, they're very serious about me making the grades that I'm supposed to make and that I need to go to class. I can't drop classes. This is very important because if I'm not doing that, then my financial aid is taken away. And if my financial aid is taken away, then I can't go to school. And so that was the number one theme that I saw. Students must understand the importance of financial aid, that it is related to them being in class and making good grades in those classes. And I think they didn't have that connection there to see that. It took them being on suspension or probation to understand, hey, they're very serious about my finances here at school. So that was the number one theme that I learned, more than any other thing that I learned this year dealing with the students, to let them know initially, right off the bat, that connection between financial aid and going to classes and their grades at the end of that semester.
Okay. Now I'm going to shift a little bit to you as far as your past educational experiences. How do you feel that your past educational experiences helped you or prepared you to be a mentor to TCC African American male students?
I think my past experiences, helped me tremendously from this fact. I came into college not understanding what college was about at all. It was all about what I learned on TV. And that's the partying, the frats, all of that type of thing. Had nothing to do with class work. And that's the way I came in. That's the mentality I had once I entered college. And so I understand that if someone is coming in with that perspective, then I can relate with that. And so from that, I learned that you must persist. Eventually, if you get enough support, that light comes on. And you must persist through the difficult times of adjusting to college, especially if you came and you're the first generation going to college, or maybe you didn't get the right curriculum there in high school to prepare you for college. And so even though it's going to be some low times, some times when you feel despair, the key is to persist on. And it took me 5.5 years to graduate with my bachelor's degree. So I can relate my story, my educational growth, in that light coming on to me and saying, hey, college is very serious and I must be mature and understanding that these are the goals that I want in my life and I must be serious about accomplishing those goals. But I'm gonna hit some low times, and the low times does not mean to quit. It just is going to be a low time, but yet I must persist through. So by me learning that in college, how important it was to not give up. It might not go as you planned. I did not plan to go to college for 5.5 years to get my bachelor's, but that's what it took. But I did not quit in the meantime. I stayed with it, didn't feel good, took me longer than what I thought, but the bottom line is that I did not quit. So by me, I can relate that to the students, and I can passionately tell them that because I encountered that myself. And so that's the main thing I want to reiterate to the students that I learned. It might not go like you thought it was going to go. You might not do as well as you thought that you were going to do initially. But the key is not to quit. Persist through. Set those goals in front of you and be true to yourself that you want to accomplish those goals. And so stay with it no matter how tough it gets, no matter what others on the outside are telling you, just stay with it until you finish. And that I learned myself through college.
Okay, thank you. In terms of African American males who has navigated colleges already, did you find any aspect of your educational experience that was more or most influential than others in helping you be successful? What items would you say this educational experience was what I would say was my really memorable one that I need to share with others?
That educational experience would be connection. I know that's kind of broad, but I think what carried me through is there were people that would not allow me to fail. They family members, foremost more than anything. They held me accountable to, Michael, this is what you said your goals were, so let's make sure we make that happen. And so that support team really undergirded me to help me succeed. Also, I had an older brother that had succeeded. So seeing that in him also helped me to go forward. So I take that same thing, especially from a student that is already moving in that direction. I'll just say, hey, make sure you got someone that you're connected to. Make sure that you have someone that can hold you accountable as you're going through school. So that'll keep you propelling, keep you moving forward. And that's the greatest thing that I've learned. And we see that family is such a huge part, that family response, but we all don't have that family support that we might have. So we do have to find support from somewhere. But we need that support to kind of undergird us and keep us going forward. And out of everything, through my learning, that's what I learned the most. But for students that are navigating already in that, I'm already seeing that they have some type of support that's there. And so with those guys, it's a matter of, stay with that support, build that support, get others to help be supportive and support others. And that will continue to help you go on through to college, to success.
Describe for what you would consider to be a successful college student.
Wow, that's very, I tell you what, it has changed since I've started with the African American Male Success Team. It has changed. And it's this, you really, a successful college student is a college student that is going to class, of course, and that are making decent grades. You don't have to make 4.0, but you are really doing your best at school. So that's one thing. But you really must tie into organizations at the school. You should be plugged into someone, which when I was at school, it helped me because I pledged Kappa Alpha Psi, and that kind of gave me a support unit. But I find successful students are students that are plugged into like the RISE program and the African American Student Association and other governmental organizations, whether it's Phi Kappa Theta, or if I'm pronouncing that right. But you need to plug into organizations there at the school because they'll hold you accountable. And you'll hold other students in those organizations accountable yourself. So it's kind of a two-way street. So you need to plug into those organizations. And of course, the basic things that we know. You must go to class. You got to go to class and then make the decent grade. So if I had to identify a successful student, he is going to class, he's consistently going to class, he is doing his best in those classes, and he has became part of at least one organization outside of class there at college. And I would call that individual a successful student.
Okay. Now, based on your definition of a successful student, what would you describe or compare the African American males that you have mentored in light of your definition of a successful student?
Exactly. And again, I'm going to start with this. When I went to college was not the number one priority on my schoolwork. Was not number one priority on my list. And I was saying that to say this. One of the things I think that I have identified is that I don't think we really, from what I've identified with African American males, I don't know if we recognize the importance of going to class and doing our school work. That is one thing that stood out to me. I think a lot of the males that I dealt with felt like just kind of coming through the doors of the building or being in the gym or being somewhere on campus isn't good enough, and it's not. We must go to class and we must do our best in those classes. But again, so another thing on that is, as African American males, and myself, I'm drawing from myself, when you talked about organizations being part of some student government association, that was the last thing I wanted to hear. I didn't have time. I didn't feel like I had time. I didn't feel like that was a manly thing to do, to be sitting in meetings with this group or with that group. And so I see that from our African American males. Anything that's kind of extracurriculum that is not sports related, we tend to shy away from. So any kind of work, even if it's the African American Student Association, I find that our young ladies participate in those groups way more than the men do. And so, but I can understand that because I was in the same boat. So I see that with the African American males, it's really getting them to focus that college is a very serious part of your life, and that you should have goals academically, but you should also have those goals socially there at college. And just, I think once we show the young men that this is very important, to have those connections outside of the classroom, I think they step up to that. But initially, that's something that we don't even consider as being part of our college experience. So we want to make sure that they know that that's a very integral part of your college experience. But overall, I think our African American males that I deal with, they don't see that as a high priority, and we don't see class participation in work as a very high priority from the young men that I deal with.
Okay. Okay. When you consider your role as an African American male mentor, what are some of the most significant obstacles you have faced in being a mentor for your students?
Well, of course, first is always time. A lot of the mentors, a lot of the mentees, they need that individual time initially for simple things like adjusting to college. What goals do you have coming into college? What are you planning on doing, with your life? Or why are you here at schooling? And those conversations take time. And with a lot of other things going on, a lot of time you can't give the real time that is needed to kind of get those young men up and moving so they can get adjusted to college. And so I found that as a barrier. I also found time as a barrier, but I also found that getting the young men, a barrier from my end is getting the young men to buy into of being a successful student at college. So I want to make sure as a mentor that I am really, the barrier that I found on my end is I want to make sure that I'm expressing to them what it takes in very simplistic words or forms of what it takes to be successful here at college. So it was a learning experience for me to learn what these young men need to be successful at college. So that was a barrier for me, learning. What do you need? I need the time to express what I'm trying to tell you need to be successful here at college. But I also found a barrier in explaining it and breaking it down into a way that they can use it there at college, and also learning what it was, me from my end, learning what these students needed to be successful at college. So the time to be there with the mentees, to make sure that they are moving in the right direction, the information that the mentees need to move in the right direction, and to make that information as simple as possible so they can take that information and run with it. That's what I would see with my initial barriers when dealing with the mentees.
Okay. What resources have been most beneficial to you as a mentor in reaching your students?
Wow. it has to be experience. And I know that maybe I shouldn't gotten more resources, and you get the literature review and you get articles that different ones have written and all of that, but it was nothing like going through that first semester and understanding the aspect of financial aid. Could not understand that. I did not understand that until I went through that first semester, and I was like, whoa, okay, this financial aid thing is huge comparative to you need your grades, you need to go to class, and if you don't, you will not be able to enroll back in school because you're missing your financial aid. I wouldn't have been able to put that together until I went through that first semester and that first year. So more than anything that's been the teacher for me, it has been just getting into the mix, running that race, and then through that experience of dealing with our mentees and the system and all that goes into that, that was my biggest teacher. And so therefore, I learned the most through experience. Even though we had the researchers and conferences and talking to others that are dealing in this area, for me, the biggest learning tool, the biggest thing that I've learned came via experience, just jumping in, dealing with our students.
Okay. When you consider the TCC mentoring team, what would you add or change about the current mentoring team to help you be more effective as a mentor?
The one thing that I would change is I would want mentors who were passionate about African American male student success. I think that above all, to make all the mentors' job easier is if we are all together and as passionate together. So we make sure that no one is missing in that loop. I think some of the mentors really took on more of the load because probably they were a little more passionate about seeing the student success. And so myself, I took on more students that were not my mentees per se, were not assigned to me. But because I felt like maybe they weren't getting that goal setting, maybe they weren't getting that one-on-one of attention that I felt these students needed from their mentors, then I stepped in and did that part of it. And so it was a little extra load upon me. So I feel like if mentors as a whole, everyone that's a part of the team, could be passionate about seeing our African American male students succeed, I think that would be a help of that would be the change that I would see. I wouldn't limit who could be on the team. I think the criteria for me would be their willingness to go out and go forth and go beyond to make sure that the mentees as a whole and the mentees that are assigned to them are really moving in the direction of success. And I think that would be the change that I would make to the team. The addition, part of that I would do is I would want Tulsa Community College as a whole to show us financially where we stood as a team, so we would be able to, as a team, know that, even though we know that Tulsa Community College as a whole supports us, but when we can see that financial support in front of us, I think it can help us go in a direction or move in a direction that would be something that we can all be on the same page with. So the addition to that, and I know that's not our team in particular, but I think an addition that will help our team is fiscally, if we could see where we stood with Tulsa Community College, what support we have from them financially, I think that would also help our team to move forward in what activities that we could do or any things that we could add to the mentees as a whole. That's my 2 cents.
Okay. When you think about your work as a mentor over the last year, what do you wish you had done differently as a mentor?
I wish that there's a lot I wish I would have done differently. The one thing is I wish that first that I would have taken my mentees initially, class schedule, went to each instructor of my mentees and introduced myself to those instructors with my information to those instructors, and I would have requested that those instructors would contact me if they would see any changes with my mentees, and I mean it from this. I would see my mentees on a regular basis, and the first thing I would say is, how's class going? How are things going in class? You got any questions with class or any troubles you're running into in class? And the overwhelming response I would get was, everything is going well. No problem with class. And I would take their word for it. Well, we get to the end of the semester and I find out that things weren't going well in class, but it is too late to make that change now. And now a financial aid is affected. And so now we got to write an appeal letter, or we got to do something. We got to jump through some hoops. Where initially, if I could have caught it week 3 or week 4, and the instructor could have said, sent me an email, Michael, he hasn't been showing up to class. Then that would allow me to say, okay, let me talk to my mentee and share with them how important it is to go to class. So that would be one aspect I would do, is I would make sure I get in touch with the instructors of all the guys that are assigned to me right off the beginning of the semester, introduce myself to them and give them my contact information and have them to let me know if anything is going on that I need to look at or address with my mentees. That's the first thing. The second thing is, there's a lot of things, but I'm just going to do. I would make sure that when I go over that goal, the mentor should go over their goal worksheet with the mentees. And I want to make sure that I take down the goals that we're setting for my mentees. And periodically, probably once a month, I would pull that mentee aside and say, okay, this is what you told me that you wanted to accomplish. Where are we on this realm of going towards that goal? Once we go over in detail, then make any adjustments or address anything that I might think that we need to address, but to keep that goal in front of them throughout the semester, not get it at the very beginning of the semester and not address it again until maybe sometime in the spring semester or some other semester, but always bring that goal sheet in front of them to help me also, but to help those mentees to make sure we're staying on task. This is what the goals we set. How are we doing? And so that's what I didn't do last year that I'm incorporating into this year that I would do differently.
Okay. When you consider your mentees, what are some of the obstacles you see them face?
The biggest obstacle I see the guys facing is not understanding the seriousness or the importance of college. I don't know if we're able to take what they're doing here and putting it in real world of how this is going to affect your life beyond this. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if the mentees can really put those two together. How is this affecting my real world finances or my real world position, or how am I going to progress in real life after college? I don't know if we're making that. I don't know if the mentees are making that relational connection. Also, tying into that is how are they, must understand that in high school, you're tardy or the teacher is taking attendance if you're not coming to class. And you might not run into that at college. You might not have to go by the principal's, or you don't have to go by the principal's office if you miss school these many days. And I think that when they find that, okay, no one's really, keeping roll, or no one's really holding my feet to the fire to come to class, and I'll blow class off. Oh, I'll get there. And I found that with my men, I found there's a barrier with them. And so they must recognize how important it is to go to class. It is very important that if your class on Monday and Wednesday, that you're in class on Monday and Wednesday, and that 2 absences throughout that whole semester is really too many absences. And so I think with my mentees, the barrier that they found was not the importance of college and not the importance of going to class and doing their classwork. I found that those were the things that were hindrances with them, not knowing the importance of that.
Okay. Based on your experiences with your mentees, what resources do you think are most beneficial for them to be using at TCC?
Yeah, it is, again, it's going to be those of outside class organizations. So it's going to be the RISE program, something like that. You need to be plugged into some type of organization where you're doing something with the college that is not school and class work. So it doesn't matter. I mean, you need to be tied into something. So I find that being a part of a RISE program is very essential and helpful. Being part of an ACE association is very essential. Being part of some type of student government, some type of organization, plugging in is very essential, because we know that connection is what keeps us going. You're feeling like you're a part of something. If you don't show up, you're missed, and that is needed. So I find that being part of an organization, tying into college outside of class, is very important in helping them move on through.
Now, you mentioned what you would add or change about being a mentor. When you think about it from the student perspective, what do you think your mentees would like to add or change about the mentoring teamwork?
I honestly think that the mentees would want the mentors, but the whole team is together. I really think that they would want to know that they have someone in their corner that no matter when, time, day, situation, I can always reach out to this individual and I will get good, sound, prompt information. I would get from this individual a sense of caring about my welfare, no matter what situation or that I'm in or what things that I'm going through. I would feel that this individual cares about me. And so I would, more than anything, I would think the mentees would want that relationship with someone that knows how to be successful in college, that knows kind of how to be successful in life, to be in my corner as a sounding board, as information gathering, as someone that can lead me through certain situations, someone that is there when I need help. And I would think the mentees would want that more than anything. And it could be from a variety of things, from navigation to just someone to lean on their shoulders and cry, someone to vent to. But I know that I have this person, this individual, this team, that no matter what that situation arises, I have somewhere to go. I got someone to talk to. I have someone that can give me sound advice. I have someone that'll be an advocate for me. Someone that maybe can talk to my instructor, or someone that can help me through financial aid or through my FAFSA or something. I got a connection. And if I got a question, I have someone I can reach out to and express that, whatever that may be. But I would think the mentees, especially adjusting to college, again, we find ourselves I think they find themselves coming to college and almost feeling by themselves. And I think that if they can make that relationship connection with a mentor, I think that that's what they would want more than anything from the mentee's part.
Okay, thank you. Considering mentoring activities over the last year, what experiences did you find most beneficial in equipping the students to be successful?
I found that our students, and I'll get to the information in a minute, but I found that our students typically respond to fun activities. So it has, with the African American males, I found over this year that if it's something that is fun, football, bowling, something like that, then they're more apt to be there for those activities. If it's some type of discussion, learning, going over a book, reading, or something like that, I found that they're more not apt to come to those situations. So in learning through that situation, I've learned that, okay, if we want to do some kind of fun activity, then it really won't take all that much prompting to get them there. Once we get them there, at least we can get them into situations where they're into some positive peer situations. They're with positive role models. They're out of negative situations. So we can bring them into some positive situation, keep them in a positive climate. We can do that at the fun activities. At the activities where it might be more of a learning activity, I have found that we need the mentees, we need peer mentees to help us recruit and get the gentleman to those type of activities. So I hope I'm answering your question. I've learned, this is what I've learned through the activities, that if we want them at more of educational type activities, then we want to take the leaders that we distinguish in the mentees, as of our mentees, to be our recruiters to get them to those activities. So I found that's what I've learned through the activities. And I don't know if that's exactly what you were asking me, but that's what I've learned through the activities of more than anything else through the activities, to share with the other mentees and to share with the mentors, that they're going to respond more to the sports type of activities, which are fantastic. Again, like I was saying, we learn from them that they are sometimes around negative peers and negative environments. And so that does take them out of those type of environments and put them over into the positive environments and then around positive peers and positive people. And so that's the one thing that does. But of course, we want them at more activities other than just the fun activities. And okay. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you answered my question.
Okay.
Thank you. Considering mentoring activities from the last year, what did you find least beneficial about the activities?
Well, I guess I found that the participation at the activities that I felt, and probably most of the mentors felt, were more of the activities that could help us academically. I learned that it was harder to get the gentleman to those type of activities. We had the activity where we were talking about communications, and we had the activity there, and we just didn't have a response because I think the gentlemen, when they look at communication activities, they're not going to be apt to just come jump into and come sit in that activity. And so what I've learned in that, what's least, is that they're not going to jump at those activities. But we want them at those activities. And so what does it take to get them to those type of activities? And again, I've addressed that before. It takes other mentees to get, I feel, it takes other mentees to get the mentees to those type of activities. So the kind of the part that I learned that was the least was, they're not going to come to those activities we feel are important academically or socially in getting us different things with readings and conversation skills and different things like that. So as mentors, we must identify our mentee leaders and have them to really urge and advertise and encourage our other mentees to come participate in those type of activities.
Okay. Okay. When you think about the suggestion that we're working toward institutionalizing our mentoring work at TCC, what do you suggest that we do to make what our work is become institutionalized at TCC?
I think that the first thing and foremost is that as a college and as the leader, the president of the college, I think he must reiterate, or he must set the groundwork to faculty, to staff, everyone that's associated with Tulsa Community College, that this is a high priority for us. We want to address this population, and we want this student group population to come up with the other student population that we have here at Tulsa Community College. And first and foremost, I believe that must come from the leadership, that this is a very important endeavor that we're moving in, and that we're not doing this for a certain period of time and then we're done. This is who we are in lifting up this student group of population, and out of that we should be able to come up with a model that we can take and apply to other student population groups. So that's the first thing I would see is us institutionalizing it. And then the second thing that I would see right behind that is the mentors that are willing to participate must be passionate. They must be willing to come into this of intervention, or bringing this in, institutionalizing it, and really doing what it takes to make it work at the college, here at the college level, here at TCC, doing what it takes to make it work. And then I think from there, the next level, you got the president showing how important it is. Then we have the mentors that have bought in, sold out, doing their part, passionate about making that change, and then bringing in the rest of the college as a whole. Once we can continue to show that what we're doing is succeeding, and then I think more and more of faculty and staff will maybe not be mentors, but they will understand what we're doing and can contribute and help us without being mentors, but just being faculty and staff. At least they'll know what direction we're going and what we're trying to accomplish, and they can feed into that. Even without being mentors, they can help us in maybe identifying students, again, getting in touch with mentors about their mentees and how they're doing in class and different things like that. So institutionalizing it will be just that. It will be just that. It will be the president leading us on first. Then that second level right in there will be the passionate mentors that are there, sold out to that, and then trickling down to TCC as a whole.
Okay, and it's interesting you brought up suggestions for faculty and staff. What did you want to elaborate on? Any suggestions you would have for faculty and staff to help African American male students be successful?
I think initially they should be able to point to mentors. They should be able to see the students, identify the students who they believe will be helped or can help us. Either side of the story can be great mentors themselves, peer mentors, students that are doing excellent in class, that they can point them to our direction and say, hey, have you thought about this team over here? You can help these guys out. But also students that they feel will be benefited by attaching them to mentors here at TCC. So I think initially, faculty and staff, especially once they know what we are doing, once they can see what we're doing and they know what direction we're going and what we're trying to accomplish, then they can identify those students that can help us or that will be helped by us, and then just point them in our direction. More than point them in our direction, contact the mentors and let them know I have these students that I feel will benefit the group or be beneficial to the group or for the group.
Okay. And are there any questions I did not ask that you were prepared to answer and you would like to bring out at this point?
No, you covered it all.
Okay.
You covered it all.
Well,
So,
thank you.
Thank you
Michael.
very much. Thank you very much,
Okay.
Dwayne.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.